So, as we know, South Africa will be taking on England in the first ODI on a Friday, the 27th of January. And today we were, as a media contingent, presented with Shukri Conrad, the interim coach, in his first press conference since he's been given the role as test coach of South Africa. So, what I thought I'll do today is we'll discuss this particular press conference and I will discuss the points that are in here. We will watch it together, guys, and go through it. And I'll stop at every point that I think is necessary. Look, there were a lot of the same questions asked. So, Shukri kind of had to repeat himself quite regularly. So, I'm going to try and skip through the parts that are the same answers, and I want to hear what you guys have to say, of course, on the show. We will discuss various topics on the show, whatever you guys talk to me about in the live chat. But we'll start off with reacting to the Shukri Conrad's first press conference. So that's what the show is about. But before we get going, before we get started, please, I would like you guys to do a couple of things for me, please. You know that you have to subscribe to this channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. And what I also would like you guys to do is become a part of our Patreon account. Please become a patron today if you want to help us grow and promote South African cricket, as well as help us grow this business and keep it going. Ultimately, it's up to the patrons because the patrons are kind of keep helping us keep it together. YouTube as well with your super chats and all of those type of donations that you guys have given us. That's really helping us keep everything afloat and keeping things together. So please keep on doing that. It really helps me. It helps the channel. It helps the business grow. That's how we can continuously bring you guys content. And if you guys please can download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. So please form part of that too. That is what runs. That is the main thing about this particular business is our digital magazine. Our digital magazine reflects everything that we do as a company, everything we do as a team. It's an opportunity for our people, all the people that are working with Cricket Fanatics magazine, to express themselves and show their writing skills, etc., and to also educate the public, because you know that the masses don't get an opportunity to view cricket. Supersport controls cricket in the country, and that's why we put together a digital magazine that is free, so that anybody from anywhere, any part of South Africa can get a hold of it. So please go and click on the link on the screen as well as in the description to get yourself your free copy and every single back issue as well, 100% free. There's nice themes there that are evergreen that can teach you a lot about cricket in South Africa. So please go ahead and download that. Another thing that I'd like you guys to do is please smash the like button. A lot of you guys are watching the video, but you're not hitting the like button. It really helps us if you hit the like button, because that gets us into recommended feeds, etc. So please go ahead and smash the like button, comment and share as well, so that we can spread our channel far and wide. Also, go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates. On cricketfanaticsmag.com, we have a plenty of things that you guys can read about the game. We've got a press conference piece ahead of this game. We've got some features on the channel as well. On this particular website, we've got some reports, we've got plenty of things, videos as well, that you guys can engage with our content on a regular daily basis. That's what our website's for. It's doing exceptionally well at the moment, guys. So please support us from this channel over there. A large portion of our viewers are coming from our Facebook account. As you guys know, we have over 18,000 followers on Facebook, and Facebook has really been driving traffic to our website. So please go ahead and also do so and join the community. So for do, guys, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to reacting to this press conference. I haven't watched it in the full yet, so I'm going to be watching it live with you guys. I've only know a couple of the things that were said according to the piece that was written on the site, to give a kind of overview of what was said and the main parts that were said as a preparation for the first ODI between South Africa and England. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid Moeddin, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today we will be discussing Shukri Conrad's first press conference since he's taken over the job as head coach. Now, we did an exclusive feature, exclusive interview with Shukri that gave us a lot of the content that was going to be given in this particular press conference video. Some of the questions that were asked is in my interview that I did with him a couple of days after he was appointed. So go and watch that. We have linked it to the eye. We will link it to the eye on the screen as well, for you guys to go and view that later on. But it's on the channel. Go have a look, share that far and wide with everybody, and let's get that that interview going, because there's some excellent points made in there. It's an understanding of his philosophy, etc. So please go ahead and please support us with that exclusive interview. It did take some planning and effort to put it together to bring to you guys. It was possibly the biggest interview of my career, uh, interviewing the head coach of South Africa, the test head coach of South Africa. It really meant a lot to me to be able to get an opportunity like that. So it would really do a lot of good to me, and it will really show your appreciation to me for the fact that I could pull that off. It would mean a lot to me if you can share that and allow people to see what the coach has had to say. But the public get an opportunity to obviously see the press conference because we provided for you on the channel. Now, some of you might have watched it, some of you haven't. I haven't quite yet in full because I wanted to react to it live with you guys on the channel so that we can watch together. Otherwise, it would be quite boring if I sit here and already watched it and you don't see what my reaction would be to certain things. So I wanted to do a live reaction to this one and discuss the different points that were made in this particular press conference. So let's get straight into it. I'm excited to hear what Shukri had to say. I know he's just the interim coach of the ODI team for now, but I'm sure that his mentality will be a one of wanting to win, etc. So let's do this. Let's get into this particular interview. Bubrik saying, "You did well, Khalid. Great interview. You did it with Shukri. Thanks a lot, brother. Also, I haven't watched it yet. Thanks a lot, Lorenzo. Great. So we can all watch this together. Let's get into it."
Haven't arrived yet, but fitness state, everyone is fit and ready to play.
Yeah, well, everybody arrived earlier this morning, so by all accounts, yeah, fit and ready. Obviously, a unique set of circumstances in the middle of a T20 league that we're getting together. Yeah, good thing in terms of form coming into it, and yeah, but it's just something we've obviously got to manage in terms of where guys are at. So if you don't see anybody at the nets today, it's not because we don't want to practice. It's really because we need to manage players as well.
The guys with the form will get the.
It's like interrupting all the time.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you were a selector, did you not bear that in mind? So yeah, I'm sure we'd take that into account as well.
Okay, interesting.
Also, probably a positive that the squad of players you've got for the series is it's an established squad, and going forward, there's no real new faces or anything like that. Yeah, they haven't done too well in the past, but new chapter, but settled squad for you.
Yeah, very much settled squad. Rob and the national selectors obviously put the squad together. The good thing, as you rightly mentioned, it is a very settled group. They fully understand where we're at in terms of what's required in this series. So we certainly won't be spending too much energy explaining the importance of the series. And the energies are really good. Having chatted with the guys as they got in today. So yeah, we're all ready to go on Friday.
That was a very diplomatic answer, obviously, because I mean, I don't know how else he would have explained it. I also agree with him that it is a strong squad. I mean, generally, it's weird because generally in the media group and contingent that I've spoken to, a lot of us have said that it's a strong squad amongst us as colleagues talking about it, because these are the best ODI players in the country over the last couple of years. Now, are some of them off form? Yes. Have some of them failed in the past? Yes. Are there some domestic cricketers that have put up their hand at the One Day Cup recently? Yes, they have. But when we're talking about experience and we're talking about consistency over time, the players that were selected are some of the best ODI players or the 50 over players in the country. Now there are some players that haven't been picked in this side, like that we would like to probably see in this particular team. For example, maybe a Ryan Rickerton, a Calvin Rayner, Some of you might want Tony Zozozi in the team. That's just from the Western Province point of view. Maybe Jordan Herman from the Warriors point of view. Maybe some of the Titans guys as well, like Neil Brandt, etc. I know a lot of you guys would want to see some of that. But to me, it was the smart move from Rob, because obviously this is Rob and the selectors' decision. It wasn't Shukri's. I think their main aim was continuity. Now, the last couple of ODI series, like I said on last night's show, they haven't necessarily played a lot of team games together as a unit. This particular bunch of players, because there were a lot of makeshift squads put together to try and win games that we needed to win. For example, we saw the likes of like Zubair Hamza and Calvin Reina and them get an opportunity. Even Bjorn Fortuin play in the ODI. It's another player who I believe should be in the squad that wasn't in the squad. Now, to pick something fresh and new without Rob in the country doesn't make logical sense to me, because he wouldn't have been able to speak to the players other than on Zoom. So for me, it was a little bit of a safe move to do this way. Um, and I do think that from over the last 4 or 5 years, you can say that this is a consistent bunch of players that have played for South Africa. If you look at the averages of Timba Bavuma, Rassie van der Dussen, their averages are quite high, even Jana Manvalan, etc. Now, they might be off form and they might not have done so well in the last couple of ODI series that they've played, but it is the most experienced. And remember that these players are contracted. Kelly explained yesterday on the show how the central contracts work and how long they last for until the end of the season, of course. So wouldn't make sense or be fair to pay players that are not going to play. It makes no sense. It's a waste of money. That's why we were speaking about last night whether we should take away the central contract. We could maybe perhaps have a show on that in the future. So let's continue with Shukri's press conference.
And sorry, just last from me. It's been a long road for you in SA cricket and coaching it, and you finally made it to the helm. Must be a good thing to be able to achieve it.
Yeah, look, I must be honest, there were times when I never thought it would come to fruition. But thankfully, and it's all about timing. I think I'm probably as well prepared now as I ever would have been. If this had happened a few years ago, there probably would have still been a few areas of concern, if you want, for want of a better word. But I think I'm really well prepared for this, yes.
When you talk about the importance of this series, we know with that looming qualifications just how important it is. But can you put that into words and how you actually manage going into a series like that, knowing that there is this big picture behind it?
Yeah, so look, both mine and Rob's, let's call it philosophy, is quite a simple one, that we really want to invest all our energies into the process of playing really good cricket. We want out of this week for guys to identify when a key moment is and what option to take, and hopefully that is an aggressive option, and that goes a long way in ensuring us winning the game. We're certainly not going to be burdening guys with the win. We have to. I think everybody's well aware of that. So yeah, the focus really is about playing really good cricket. We know that England's a top one-day side. Well, they are the world champions in both formats. And if we can do that against the top side in the world, it will go a long way in setting us up for the rest of Rob's tenure as well as the white ball coach.
So a lot of responsibility that he's actually taking on. I'm quite impressed how confident he actually is in himself. It's not that I expected anything less. He is quite a confident person. If you speak to him if you guys ever get an opportunity to ever speak to him, you'll notice that he backs himself 100% or 150%. So I like the fact that he said they want to focus on the brand of cricket that they play, rather than put the pressure on with regards to qualifying, because they know they have to qualify. It is quite obvious. So the emphasis is not going to be on that all the time by putting that burden on them, but rather focusing on playing a brand of cricket that suits these players. So I like that, and I want to see if that actually comes to fruition. Many times with previous coaches, they say a lot of things in the press conference and then we don't see it actually happen in the middle. So I want to see if we can see signs of it. Now, I don't expect Shukri in an interim position to create miracles, but I'm hoping that the fact that he knows a lot of these players, that he grew up with a lot, or he helped a lot of these players grow and develop, I'm hoping that he knows how to tap into their best sides and to get the best out of them. So I'm hoping that he can do so. We got let me just read some of the comments as we go along because it makes sense because you guys are obviously commenting as we are watching. Afzal says Stubbs should definitely have been there. We need Miller batting higher up in ODIs. I get you guys push for Tristan Stubbs and your Delval Brevises, etc. Uh, but I do feel that in ODI cricket specifically, I think they maybe need a little bit more consistency to. It's not T20 cricket where form is everything in T20 cricket, in my opinion. Like, if you have one good tournament, you can probably play T20 cricket internationally. It's kind of a similar level, not exactly the same level, but it's kind of close. And I think that the levels are because you're playing against like the best players all around the world against in T20 teams. The level is it's like almost playing Champions League and international football. Um, in Champions League football, you are playing against the best of the best mixed up in one team, whereas internationally you're playing the best from the country. So I do think that the step up in T20 cricket can be direct from having a great tournament in the IPL or SA20, etc., and then going into international cricket. Yes, it's a little bit. It is still a big gap or step up, but it's a slightly less step up than in other formats. Our domestic season, our domestic teams aren't as star-studded. So the step up from ODI cricket into international, from 50 over domestic cricket into ODI cricket, there's a massive ladder that needs to be climbed. And I don't think one good season in domestic cricket warrants you an opportunity to immediately play in ODI cricket. Now, with this particular squad, there are a lot of players that are really good in ODI cricket. Now, whether they can transform themselves to play this brand of cricket that we are hoping that these coaches are going to be playing, or they're saying that they're going to play, is another story. So let's see this series through. I don't think it's fair to reset right now when you need to qualify. It doesn't make sense to me to do it right now when you have one important series that you need to win. Uh, I think they I think they picked given the circumstances, they picked the best squad that they could, including the introduction of Magala as well as Marco Jansen in this team. So Aiden Markram as well, they kept. They're trusting him and backing him. So it's interesting to see what the fans think about it because we want to press the reset button immediately. But if your one day coach, your white ball coach, is not in the country, I don't think that's a smart move, especially if he hasn't spoken to domestic players yet, or he hasn't spoken to the actual ODI squad. Maybe they have touched base over maybe Zoom, whatever the case may be, but the 11 hours ahead of us, it's tough for him to communicate and to pick a team when he's in another country. So I don't think that's a smart move necessarily, especially when Shukri doesn't have much say on the selection of the squad for this particular team. Kelly said I had a few makeshift shots during COVID as well. Yes, very true. And messed up with the combos perhaps. And it did. I believe that it did. Um, as I said last night, we must make way with the central contract structure. Let the selectors players sign series contracts instead. That is a good move, I feel. I actually back you there, Lorenzo, with that idea. We must actually go into detail on how that will work and how much that will cost. I hope Temba opens the batting with Rasi at 3. That's also another good option over there. Rian De Bruin says RDB photography, he isn't in the squad, so that might be tough. Oh dear, Valbrevas. If you only sign contracts per series, then there may be serious risk of a lack of continuity. That's also true. I know he's doing everything for MICT. I wouldn't say he's doing everything for MICT. I mean, Devils had a very great start and great finish, but the middle was a bit shaky. There's a lot, even in this tournament, I saw there was a lot of flaws in his game, particularly against the short ball. There was one delivery that he got from Andrik Nokia that he kind of played like this and he didn't even look at the delivery. He was shocked by pace. And if you pepper him with short deliveries, it does bother him and it does get to him. Although he's very good against spin and the medium paces and reading the slower deliveries, um, quick 150 pace at his head does give him a little bit of trouble, and a little bit of swing too does give him a little bit of trouble, which is a lot of the newer batters in our system have struggled with that. And I think that he will develop. I mean, he's still young. We shouldn't rush him into this, and because that if he does face 3 fast bowlers of 150 plus from both end, he could have some issues. And I don't want. We need to be patient with him. His time will come. It's not like if he doesn't get selected in the squad that he won't ever be selected in South African cricket. Shukri, very impressive. Best of luck to him. Excited and hopeful as a SA fan. I'd give Stubbs another season at the. I agree with you at 4 for the Warriors rather than push him through for 1. He looked better up there than down at 6 in 50 over cricket. Made a big 100 there, but needs more. And he needs to score more consistently. It's very difficult to pick a player when you don't have much results to go with. I'll be angry if Klaasen's not playing this weekend. Best batsman we have at the moment. I know Shukri is a big fan of Klaasen. He had a big say in Klaasen's career, so I'm pretty sure he would probably pick Klaasen in this team if I know what he thinks of Klaasen. Knowing that what he thinks of Klaasen. DC is also a bit iffy on the offside. He can play, but he gets bogged down. It's true. His management with the wickets falling at the other end the last game was much better, though. Nothing wrong with giving Brevis more time to develop. Surely, I agree with you there. I think we look at, everything Deva Brevis does. Yes, he struggles with the short ball at the age of 19, which is understandable. But look at Aya. He also struggles with the short ball in his prime. Yeah, but that's different. I mean, Deva Brevis is he's still young and he's having these issues. In T20 cricket, I think go for it. Let's push him into that team. Let's get him surrounded with a lot of experienced players that he can learn from. That's why I think Faf should come back in T20 cricket, because I think he'll be the perfect guide to someone like Deva Brevis. So I would like to see that. I think one person that's maybe unlucky to make this team is probably Ryan Rickelton, but we know he's the reason he's dealing with an injury that he needs to get sorted out and go for surgery. I think the sooner rather than later. The fact that he's not contracted means that he's going to have to obviously go for surgery, and CSA, if he goes on tour, CSA will be liable for him if he breaks down and something happens, and pay for that medical bills out of their own pocket ultimately, if they take that risk and knowing that he's not contracted. If we talk players that should play against West Indies, then Rickelton's your guy. Harley Tristan was the second highest run scorer in the One Day Cup. So not too inconsistent, not ready for ODIs yet, but that no, I don't think he's inconsistent. I never said that he's inconsistent. I don't think he's inconsistent. I just think that he needs to find more consistent seasons in a row to play. He had a good season, but you need to see some consistency from him over time. So another season would do that for me. If he can do exactly what he did this season in next season, then surely he should be in the 50 over team for the 2023 World Cup. I mean, I think that would be a nice wild card to throw in. But if these guys perform, then it will be very difficult for him to get in the team. But for example, Klaasen, if he's batting at 6, whoever's going to bat at 6. Okay, let's move on. Let's see what Shukri has said further on.
Dean?
Yeah, just touching on England's position as double world champions, first time a men's team has achieved that. What does that motivation does that give to the opposition when you see that kind of target on their back? Is it a good place to be, or are you kind of wary of the quality that England bring?
Yeah, you're obviously aware of that and they're respectful of that. I'd like for us to still see us play as a top cricketing side as well. Our position in the One Day or in the World Series suggests that, but I'd still like us to have the belief that top teams play a certain way, and we've got to come out on Friday night and deliver that. I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I want to challenge. I want to be up against the best sides in the world and get a pretty good idea of where we're at as a side.
For English supporters and fans watching this team, they haven't been able to watch Jofra Archer for quite some time. He's now back in the side against your team. What's your view of his return, and how much of an impact do you suspect that he could have, having been away for so long?
Jofra Archer's a world-class player. Saw a little bit of him in the league now. I'm from Cape Town, so I spent a bit of time supporting my Cape Town, if I'm allowed to say that. So, yeah, and again, you want to be tested against the best in the world, and Jofra is right up there. I think the self-same fans might not have seen a lot of Kagiso Rabada and Anrich Nokia in the recent past, so I'm sure they'll be in for a good treat.
I like that.
We'll look to take a couple from online. We'll start with Fidos, Talford, Ken.
Oh yes, guys, and I didn't attend this press conference. I had a lot of things to sort out this afternoon, so I had one of our other journalists attend the press conference, and yeah, they covered it and they did the story. So I'm sorry that I didn't get an opportunity to go. For the next press conference, I'll definitely try my best to go there and ask a couple of questions or ask a question in the press conference, just as a representation from Cricket Fanatics magazine and for all of you guys. So if you do, if I do know the night before who's going to be in the press conference, I'll ask you guys maybe if you want me to. I'll ask you guys for some questions that you maybe want me to ask, and you can throw it in the live chat of that show. And then I'll pick the best one, or I'll ask my own question, dependable on what you guys ask. So let's continue.
Thanks. How's it, Shooks? Can I just get a sense of kind of how you approach this? Because obviously you're not the permanent coach, and then the series is coming on the back of, we've seen full houses at the SA20, and we've heard that ticket sales maybe are not so great there in Bloem. How do you manage this, and what's the sense you've got as a coach and for the group going into this week?
Yeah, hi Fidos. Look, we get together officially for the first time tonight as a group, where we'll obviously speak around some of these potential pitfalls where the guys have been at in the last couple of weeks. Look, a top rugby coach that sat as a South African rugby coach many years ago got fired because he spoke about ticket prices. That really is above my pay grade, and certainly not something that we're going to concern ourselves about. We do know that the guys would obviously want everybody in Bloemfontein to come out and support us. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, Bloemfontein hasn't had much cricket, and I'm pretty confident that the people of Bloemfontein and the surrounds will turn out in their droves to watch a South African side that they haven't seen play in a long while.
I saw the ticket prices. Actually, Kelly sent it to me. I asked her to send it to me. I looked at the price for kids, $150. I was quite shocked that it's that expensive. That's madness, actually. I mean, even if you go to a fancy restaurant and you pay for food for kids, you won't even pay $150. That's ridiculous. And then the normal tickets are about $250. I don't know if they go higher than that. I think they thought of England in mind here. If there's England fans that are going to travel for the series, and possibly for some of the SA20 games too, because there's so many English players that are in the teams. I think they thought about that, where they can make an extra money or a little bit of profit by selling these tickets for so that expensive. So let's see who turns up at Bloemfontein for this game. I hope that it is full crowds. I won't be going to this. It's quite pricey to fly to Bloemfontein, and it's like 4 hours. If I fly to Joburg, it's like 4 hours from there to Bloemfontein, like 3.5 hours to go drive from there, and from Pretoria about 4 hours. So it doesn't make it very feasible for me when I'm not making any money with Cricket Fanatics quite yet. So if you guys want to get on a Patreon thing and give me some donation for flight tickets, that will be I might be able to quickly get the other plane to go. But at the moment, it's not really feasible for me to have gone. That's why I've heard that there's not a lot of journalists from South Africa actually going to this particular tournament. It's sucky that it's in Bloemfontein, but I understand why. With the SA20 happening at every single big ground in the country, Bloemfontein doesn't get much cricket, and I think that is maybe a good option. That and Potchefstroom possibly, but Potchefstroom is obviously a host for the Under-19 World Cup. So to get that stadium ready so quickly for a series would have been close to impossible.
Thanks, Fidos. Telford?
Congratulations on the appointment. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Telford.
Really good. Just also with the SA20, it's been such a raving and roaring success. I don't know, are you under pressure to Khalid and base? That international cricket is still the best thing in the world. Do you feel a bit under pressure? Do you think the team does from what's going on in the SA20?
Yeah, look, obviously, international cricket is always about pressure. And I sit here as if I speak from experience in my first gig. But look, just briefly chatting with some of the guys, it's quite clear that representing your country is still the pinnacle of it, both in white ball and test cricket. So whether we're under pressure to compete, I don't think we're competing with the T20 league. I'd like to see the league as an ally, because the one thing I have seen of late is that people in South Africa are still very much in love with cricket. And obviously, as Johan remarked earlier, we're obviously looking at the form and use some collateral form lines with guys guys in that T20 league and going into Friday. So I certainly don't see it as a pressure with regards to the league. I think the only pressures there are is playing really good cricket against a top side like England.
That's good to hear that he sees it like that. I see Lorenzo saying it's pretty simple. Oh, this is about Brevis. Okay, I'll deal with that comments later. I'm just going to put a star in it, so that I can come back to it. I didn't even know this must be a new feature. I didn't know that I can star a comment. I'm going to star yours as well, Kelly, because I think they're related. Okay, let's move on.
Thanks, Telford. Kane?
Unmute yourself, Ken.
Yeah, Ken, you're not...
Stand up, Ken.
Oh, I know, my lord. Okay, I don't know if you guys know. Okay, so maybe it's a bit of an inside journalist joke. Ken Borland is someone that we've brought on the show before. You guys have seen him, of course, on our shows, but he's quite a short person. He's a very short man. He's about this height. He takes me by about my shoulder, maybe chest. Sometimes he does have his mic on mute. He had it actually on mute on our show as well when he was talking to us. I had to tell him to unmute it. So sometimes he does make that mistake. But that was pretty funny in my opinion, that he said stand up, kid. It's good to see that we have a coach now with personality, because Boucher was a bloody bore. I mean, I know you guys liked him, or some of you guys liked him and wanted him to be a coach, but he was boring as a coach. I'm going to be 100% honest here. His press conference was extremely boring and very tedious to listen to. So it's nice to see that we have a coach with a little bit of personality over here.
Yeah, we can hear you, Ken.
Okay. Obviously, you've been on the outside looking in a bit for the Proteas. Have there been other things in the ODI game that you've identified as needing some attention for the series, even though you're just there in a stand-in capacity?
Look, there obviously must be some concerns, or else we wouldn't find ourselves with the possibility of qualifiers looming. So I think on the batting side, I think it's just identifying and committing to it, the type of cricket we want to play. And we certainly don't necessarily want to be mimicking the best side in the world, i.e. England. And similarly, our bowling strength is right up there. It's identifying key moments in the game, which approach we need to take, what is the right option, and then committing to that and wanting to win all those big moments. And as long as we can create that culture of learning, but also taking the aggressive option, that will go a long way to getting success for us. A big thing for me is also being able to assess what the conditions are like. So you can't come in with a one-size-fits-all approach. Obviously, the conditions will go a long way to determining how we actually play, Ken.
You see, I like that, because when Bouch spoke, he spoke a lot about the fact that we want to play this attacking smart brand of cricket, but he never really hopped on the smart aspect of the game. And I always used to highlight that aspect, because there was 3 words in that sentence that he used: smart, attractive, or smart, attacking. What was it? Brave, smart, attacking cricket. And the smart aspect is something that's interesting. And that's exactly what he's talking about here, is conditions. Shukri has always told me in all his interviews that he's done with me, that he wants to teach players how to read conditions, and under 19 level that was. And the fact that conditions play a massive part is very important. Be able to read the conditions and then adapt your game accordingly is very important. We saw England, even the most attacking team in the world like England, came to South Africa for a series. The pitch wasn't really allowing them to smack it all around the parts of the ground. They still scored 190, playing a smart brand of cricket according to the conditions. They adapted their game. So I would like South Africa to do the same. I've said it before. I think that South Africa's players that they have in the squad have a natural ability to be able to adapt their game because of the domestic wickets that we do face over here. With at least the consistent batters in South African domestic cricket have the ability to be able to adapt their game and attack accordingly. We saw Faf do it amazingly at the Wanderers. That Wanderers wicket wasn't a very normal Wanderers wicket. It was very sticky. Didn't have the same amount of bounce. Some of the balls were keeping quite low, and yet he managed to to anchor that innings and actually also adapt his game according to the conditions. That's a very important point that I think we need to teach our players, because I've seen South Africa's teams go out in the middle with a game plan and not change up the game plan when they see that the previous person lost their wicket, thinking that they could play attacking. And then the next person comes in, does the same mistakes. And I don't really like that. So yeah, let's continue with this. I'm so far I'm enjoying the mindset here, what has been said. Let's see what people are saying over here in the comments. Smart isn't necessarily always going to be attacking from the word go. Rotating the strike and form is a form of offense. If they go with informed players, I don't see either Milan or Hendricks playing. Which it would be better for Proteas and Temba if he opens the batting and using power play to get going early. It also isn't good way to build a partnership and actually delve into brave cricket when you have the platform. Really like the presser. Hope Rob has a similar mindset and style. This is my point, Khalid and Kelly. We can't say Stubbs is not ready to play ODIs because okay, Lorenz, I promise you, I'll come back to that. Please just talk about the presser and what has been said in the actual presser at this very moment, and we'll get back to Brevis. I promise you, I'll come back to those points, and I'll explain my view on that as well.
Thanks, Ken. We're going to go Percival, then Stu.
Shukri, baie geluk aan Percival. Ja, jy meneer jarenlang Shukri, guys, check with you. When's the last time you spoke Afrikaans at your press conference?
Dit was 'n lang tyd, Percy, en ek dink die laaste keer as toe ons gepraat het, was dit nie 'n baie goeie gesels nie, maar maar ek was I beg your pardon?
Can you ask a question in Afrikaans?
Ja, no, maar Afrikaans
He's
is
gonna ask a
good.
question in Afrikaans. I'm gonna skip
Afrikaans
this
is
one.
good, obviously with respect to the English.
I'm
Nou
gonna
vir my die
skip this
vraag.
one, because I don't know everybody
gebeur is nou
understands
nie
Afrikaans, and I don't think
natuurlijk
Afrikaans lighting.
'n beter
And normally, okay, let me just
Afrikaans
explain you
woord
why. Normally, the Afrikaans question is a repeated question of something that has been said before, or it's an overview of everything, because the guy that's asking the questions kind of uses that clip for the news, etc. Yeah, Lawrence, I can understand Afrikaans. Jay. No, the problem over here is that he's gonna repeat everything in Afrikaans and what has been said already, because he normally asks a very broad question so that he can get that clip for his news shows that he does, etc. So I'm gonna skip it and go on to the English questions because it's gonna be a repeat. Ik kan Afrikaans praat. Ik kan nie baie goeie Afrikaans praat nie, maar ek kan Afrikaans praat.
Right.
Great.
I'm not as fluent as Shukri.
Then Mubin, then Firdous, and then if there's any last questions in the room, we'll look to wrap up the press conference. Go ahead, Stu.
Cheers, Lucy. Hi, Shukri. This is a high pressure series. It's a high pressure series. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah?
Yeah, this is a high pressure series, and the Proteas don't do well with pressure.
Is that a statement or a question?
Well, I'm going to get to the question.
Okay.
This guy, you see what I mean, guys? He doesn't take shit from anybody as a coach. He's literally direct with you.
In the very short time, trying to kind of get the players out of this difficult mindset of this, the mud that they're stuck in when it comes to dealing with me.
Yeah, so look, as any coach would tell you, and it's not a cliche that just rolls off the tongue comfortably, it's really about the process we need to be following. We cannot focus all our energies on this week only. There's a reason why we are where we are. But even if the position was different, it would still be a high-pressured series. You know, every international match where you represent all of the country is high pressure in itself. So we're certainly not going to be focusing on what the potential outcomes will be if we don't get over the line in this series. But it's all about, as I mentioned earlier, Stuart, really focusing on those key moments in the game, identifying it, and then being able to take the right option, and hopefully that's quite an aggressive option.
Thanks, Stu. Mubin.
Shukri, just to follow up on Stu, I just noticed what will be the objectives for the series? Obviously, because it's a very short series.
This is a
And,
dumb question.
you've only taken over now. You shape up tonight, obviously. So,
This is
what
the
will be
same question that everybody else
objectives
asked.
for the series in a short space of time here?
It feels like there's an echo in the room. It's like the same question. Really good cricket to win every key moment and win 3-0 at the end of it. And that might be a nice throwaway line for you, but at the end of the day, if we can play really good cricket and we can start building on how we know we can play and not be paralyzed by the situation we find ourselves in, I think that will go a long way. I know Rob shares similar views, and obviously when he does land and when he officially takes over, I think we can confidently hand over a very confident one-day side.
Thanks, Firdous. Firdous?
Can I go?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, there was a delay. Shuk said Devon Brevis is not in the squad, and there's been.
Ooh, here we go, Lorenzo.
Obviously, you oversaw his under-19 career. Like, how close do you think he is, and do you reckon he'll add something eventually, one day?
As I mentioned right at the beginning, for those selected the side. Dwalt is obviously a massive talent, but then again, I could possibly bandy another 5 or 6 similar talents around. How we go forward from here, that is entirely in Rob and the selectors' hands. There'll obviously be lots of conversations, but it would be foolhardy of us to ignore any of our bright young talents in the country, and I'm sure they'll be assimilated into the side when the time's right and when the opportunity presents itself.
Lorenzo, he answered your question actually. He literally said this, what you said right now. Brevis is special talent and can mention a number of players who are currently far better than him, and that's facts. And I agree with you there. And I told you I will get back to it. I will get back to your your comments on the Brevis situation as well, and talk about that. There is other talents, and I'll explain to you my take on that as well, Lorenzo. I will get to that at the end of this particular presser.
Thanks, Firdous. We're going to take one more online, Shloni, and then if there's anyone else in the room, then we'll wrap up.
Thanks, Lucy. Coach, phoning Kula from ENTA. At the announcement last week, there was a lot of talk from the CEO and the DOC about you and the actual ODI coach working together and kind of building some sort of synergy. I don't know if this question has been asked before, but just in terms of this series, what sort of conversations?
Listen to the previous questions, man.
Just that sort of working together for this series, or has that happened?
Yeah, there has conversation, and look, just at the outset, I need to make it very clear. Rob and I have a fabulous relationship. We always have had. We share similar ideals on the game, and we in conversation literally every day in terms of where we feel teams at, what we need to be looking out for. Obviously, I'm on the ground here, and he's 11 hours ahead of me. So I'm being entrusted to look after selection. I've been entrusted to really take matters or look after matters. This is my series now, but obviously in constant conversation with Rob. We share similar ideals, and again, if one looks at the red ball and white ball I think the two have grown closer together if you look at how the formats have been played. So there's a lots of synergy between Rob and I, and the sharing of ideas. So yeah, a really good fit for South African cricket, and Rob obviously having quite a few years on me in terms of youth. I think he brings that youthful energies as well, which is great. And yeah, there's been a really good sharing of ideas that happens every single day.
I like that, man. I like the fact that the two coaches get along and they have a similar type of mindset, like he said. And also, Rob is younger than Shukri. So I think he will listen to Shukri as well. That means that there will be some sort of influence with regards to the two of them coming up with certain ideas. Now, it doesn't look like any of these media people have actually watched my interview. That does come across like that. Obviously, I don't expect him to. But if they did, they wouldn't have asked the questions that were already answered in the exclusive that I did with Shukri. Let's move on.
Great. Any from the floor?
Like this one. I asked Enoch this question in the presser and then asked Shukri this question.
Because you mentioned now that they're going to start playing the way we know they can play.
Yes, and it's not because we want them to play the way we can play. Hence the need for a mental conditioning coach. I prefer that. Both Rob and I feel strongly that it's someone we want on our staffs. And when I say staffs, Rob will have the different staffs. So yeah, it's about finding that right person, and that person becomes a key member of the coaching staff. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can nail down whoever that person is, and then either he or she who would then form part of the Protea, both Test and One Day side.
Yeah, so clearly, yeah, a lot of people didn't watch this interview. So please share my interview with Shukri. It will answer a lot of these questions. I mean, it's a bit. I can't actually be critical of the questions because I wasn't there to ask questions. I've explained why. That I had a lot of meetings this afternoon. I was really busy this afternoon doing a lot of stuff, running around doing different things with regards to Click Fanatics. So I didn't actually have the chance to sign in, and I sent someone else to go. Yeah, but a question I would have asked is, who's the coaching staff for this particular game? I would have probably asked as well about the conditions at Bloemfontein and what we can expect. Being because obviously we know that Bloemfontein, from what we know, is a very flat wicket. So putting a team on the flat wicket that can score 200, 300, or 300, 400 on a difficult wicket means that they could possibly score 500 on a wicket like this if we don't bowl well. So yeah, I wish that there were better some in certain areas that certain questions were answered, because a lot of the stuff that was asked is something that I've covered in my exclusive and Shukri answered in that. So it's kind of a lot of repeated answers that were asked. And I mean, I don't know why the same questions were asked. Like Shukri said, there's an echo in the room or something, because the question, he has to repeat himself over and over again. So my assessment of it so far, before I get into the live chat again, I think I like the way he speaks. I like the confidence, but I know this about Shukri already. I mean, I was already sold when I sat down with him and did my exclusive. I was sold on him as a coach already. The mentality, the mindset, what he said about the youth, his knowledge on the game and the players in our system. Remember, guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but Shukri was, if you guys didn't watch the interview that I've done with Shukri, Shukri was the Cobras coach, won trophies with him, bringing guys like Vernon Philander through, JP Dumini, those type of guys, youngsters also through. He also coached the Cullises of the world, etc. Then he went to he was at Gauteng B as well, so that means he dealt with a lot of the next generation of talent at Gauteng, which is the strongest province in the country with regards to talent recruitment, etc. He was head of National Academy, so he saw Zubair Hamza, George Linder, Heinrich Klaassen, all of these guys come through the system as well. So he knows all of them and has helped them at a high performance level. He was then also SA emerging coach with likes of Marcus Ackerman as his captain, and that generation of talent there, Rwanda Swart, all of those guys as well. So he knows that generation too. Then he was SAA coach too. He's also dealt, so that means he dealt with a lot of the current crop of experienced players that are around. And then he was SA under-19 coach of this generation. So he knows the Brevises, he knows the Posts and the Van Heerdens, etc. So when it comes to knowing players, understanding them, and actually when I say knowing them as people as well as cricketers, I think Shukri is an expert on that matter. He knows this generation, the previous generation, the legends that have retired too. He knows everybody in South African cricket, I would say. Majority of people that have talent in this country, he knows about. And not only knows them, he knows what makes them tick. So I'm hoping that will happen. And I hope that will transcend into his coaching with regards to this team. So let's see what some of you guys have to say in the comments. Shukri looks like and speaks like a proper coach, man. Love it. Really want this guy to succeed. So do I. Kelly agrees. Agreed, Lawrence. Chemistry amongst the coaches is super important. Nobody's going to necessarily control things, it seems. Exciting times. I honestly have never been so invested as a fan. Wow, Pulrik, I love it. Possibly sports psychologist coming on board. Yes, I asked him this as well in my exclusive. It's actually my question that they're recycling. Um, I asked Enoch this question in the press conference, and he said he was quite excited to answer the question. So they're actually recycling my question over here in this press conferences and etc. And this topic, because I mean I headlined with that story as well, and I asked him again in the exclusive. I really can't wait for the test squad to be announced after a long time. I can hear words of a coach who knows what he wants. Thanks, Afzal. That sounds amazing. Same, so excited for the test team. Ask about the sports side because it might well be something covering both squads. Um, yeah, but I was the one that asked Enoch, and also I asked him as well in the exclusive that I did with him about it, and he actually answered it much more in depth than he did in the press conference. Um, would be cool to see Mamagala goes. Yes, it would. Much more approachable than Bouch, in my opinion, just personally, 100%. There's no doubt about that. Bouch is actually commentating in SA20. Doesn't come across as the friendliest of guys, to be honest. He is a test team coach, and this is of my observation. I didn't really deal with him, but I passed him in the corridors, etc., and said hi, and don't really get much of an answer back. He's a test team coach and serving in interim captaincy. I don't know why journalists are asking him about philosophy and tempos, etc., and of the ODI team. They asked it because they wanted to know a little bit more about Rob's philosophy. And as Shukri said in this particular presser, he said that they are very aligned with regards to their mentalities and the way they think about the game. And they've had plenty of conversations and they get along well, which is a great thing for South African cricket. I think two heads are better than one, guys. Just want to know who the batting coach is going to be. I would also like to do that. They haven't really announced that quite yet. They will do that quite soon. It's a very good question, bro. And I probably would have asked that in the presser as well, maybe. Hopefully, we will get the mighty Ash on board as a batting coach. Again, Khalid, great interview, much appreciated. To be honest, I was still a supporter of Boucher, but I must say I never heard him talk about cricket like Shukri does. Not saying Boucher is a bad coach because he's quite good. It just didn't work out. Um, I heard that Shukri is pushing hard for Ashwell Prince to be batting consultant for the test team. I hope he pulls through because that would be an excellent appointment. I did speak about to Ashwell um, and about his commentary. I didn't talk to him about coaching, and he seems quite happy in commentary at the moment. And I think he's doing quite a good job, actually, to be honest. I know some people say they don't like him, but I like the insights that he gives into the batting specifically when it comes to the team. Van Heerden looks a serious talent. I remember his interview in Lockdown series where he said Bretsky, Van Tonde, and Ackerman are his most liked players. I would love to see one of those youngsters in test team. Oh yes, Sadiq, you've been a fan since the beginning. Yes, I did it on Lockdown series with him, and he did mention that. George Van Heerden needs a bit more of a stint in with the Division 1 side. Yes, he does. Okay, let's get back to this question that I started from Lorenzo. This is wait, it started at the top here. Okay, it's pretty simple. If people say Brevis is ready for T20Is, then Brevis is ready for ODI. You meant Stubbs is ready for ODIs. Brevis has been very inconsistent since he started playing domestic cricket. We must have the same energy here. Kelly's response was, "How is Brevis ready for ODIs?" Okay, oh yeah, but she corrected himself. He meant Stubbs. And let's go on over here to Khalid, I mean Stubbs, ODIs. Okay, yeah, I explained that. And then he said, "This is my point, Khalid and Kelly. We can't say Stubbs is not ready to play ODIs because he's inconsistent, yet we want Brevis in T20Is, yet perfect example of being inconsistent." Okay, let me compare the two formats quickly and my take on it. And you guys don't have to agree with me because to an extent, Lorenzo, I actually do agree with you because I think that both the players, I think Stubbs was rushed in a bit too soon because you can see that he's really struggling at the moment with all that pressure, with the money on his head, and also when he got pushed into the T20 side, he's also struggling with that pressure at the moment. So let me just give you my opinion on this. I think that ODI cricket and T20I cricket although there are some similarities with regards to the brand of cricket we want to play, attacking and quick, and the way the ODI game is going, I think that the gap between domestic T20 cricket and the gap between domestic 50 over cricket is a lot smaller. So T20 cricket for me, because there are all these leagues around the world, Brevis has played in the IPL now. He's now played in SA20. He's played for the SA19s in the T20 knockout competition. He's played and he's now played in the SA20 as well, which I already mentioned. In those tournaments, he's playing against the best in the world. So for the IPL, he's played against the best bowlers in the world. For the SA20, he's playing against some of the best bowlers in the world. Has he been inconsistent? Yes. But in the position that he plays in that number 3 role, if he's going to play in that number 3 role, I would be okay with having a little bit more of a player that can come off a couple of games when you're under pressure. In 1 or 2 games, he comes off and he scores a massive century or something to win you a game when we are in trouble. But if that is the case, then we need to sort out that opening pair and make sure that we're consistent. That's why I think the calling back Faf du Plessis in T20 cricket will be a masterclass move. Having Quinny and Faf open the batting would give us solidity and consistency at the top of the order. Because if Quinny doesn't play, well, you have the experience of Faf to be able to back the number 3. So whoever the number 3 is going to be a player that's going to be inconsistent. We saw Riley Rousseau, one of the most inconsistent batters in this tournament and for South Africa, scores 100 one day, wins you a game, next game, he's out. But what happened is there was no solidity at the top, so we felt it a lot more because your number 3 is losing his wicket quickly. It's a once in a life, comes off once in a blue moon type of player. Similarly to the number 6 position, you don't expect David Miller to walk out every single game and have Miller time. You expect it to come off now and again and when the pressure is on. Brevis has shown that when the lights are on and the stadiums are packed and the pressure's on, he performs. The first opening game of this SA20, the amount of pressure that was on Deva Brevis's head, you do not understand. I spoke to him before the tournament and a little bit, and I got some insight into his mentality going forward. It didn't seem to faze him, but every single report, every single thing that was out there from my Cape Town, Brevis, everywhere. We have Driver Brevis. Everybody was going mental. When I did my first fan cam, everybody's favorite pick to come watch why they came down to the stadium was to watch Deval Brevis. What did he do in that opening game? He smacked those guys around the park, left, right, and center, put on a show in front of the My Cape Town team. He then faded away. But that is also due to the fact that there was consistencies at the top of the order with regards. Now, he opened the batting in this tournament as well. So that also puts a lot of pressure on the young lad in every single game, which I don't think was a smart move in my opinion. I do think that he should have batted 3 and they should stick to him and batting at 3. It gives him that leeway to be able to come off once and again if you have a solid partnership at the top of the order. Now, because they're playing against world-class players, I think that the gap between T20 cricket at the moment, if you're playing in the leagues around the world, is a lot smaller to international cricket step up. The reason we picked Riley Rousseau, who never played domestic cricket hardly in South Africa, although he did well in the knockout competition, the reason you can pick these players from all around the leagues and wherever they are playing is because of that. We're not asking those players to come back and play domestic cricket first and do well here and then get promoted. Now, let's go into the ODI and 50 over game. The 50 over game in South Africa, you're only really picking from the domestic competition. There's a lot of inconsistencies with regards to the bowling attacks in the 50 over game in South African cricket. So the step up from ODI for 50 over cricket in domestic South Africa to ODI cricket is a lot larger. Similarly to our 4-day cricket and test cricket, we often complain about that gap. There's a massive gap between that. I think that gap is similar in ODI cricket. The only difference is that South Africans are much more prepared for ODI cricket than they are for 4-day cricket. Because out of school, they're already playing 50 over cricket their whole life at school and T20 cricket. Then they come into domestic cricket. It's a lot easier to play the 50 over list day game. They're more comfortable in that than they are in 4-day cricket, which they have no experience coming out of school with. So the closest thing they have is ODI cricket and 50 over cricket. Now, when it comes to that, I think that similarly in Test cricket, like in 4-day cricket, I feel that you need a couple of seasons in 4-day cricket to show consistency and then get picked for the Test side. Similarly, I think that in ODI cricket. Whereas I think in T20 cricket, um, it's a little bit different. And I think that you can have one good season and get an opportunity. Like Stubbs. Stubbs had one good season, T20 cricket, got picked into the Proteas side, played in the World Cup. So I think that we can take those risks, but you need to set up a foundation. So in order for you to take those risks, so that allows you to be able to take those risks. So in order to do that, you need to have a solid opening partnership so that your threes and then a great number four that is consistent, and then you maybe can and a five, so that partnership to have consistency there, and then you can maybe explore a little bit with your number six and pick two eccentric players that come off once and again, now and again. And I think it's okay for Brevis because that's the reason. If there's experience around him. Now, if you pick in a fresh young youth team, right? And if you pick in a fresh young youth team, like from scratch, I mean, press the reset button tomorrow. I mean, just going to pick youngsters. I don't think that's a good idea to then pick Brevis because either because you need to find some sort of consistency within the team. That's why I think that he will most benefit from the T20 team because it's our most experienced. It's a very experienced team. It's actually our most experienced team at the moment. So I think that the best opportunity for him to learn and grow his T20 game would be within that squad. That's why I'm saying things differently for Stubbs in ODI cricket and for Brevis in T20 cricket. But I do think that with Lorenzo's comments, he has a point. You need to be also fair. If you're going to if you think that Stubbs needs more time in ODI cricket, I know it's different formats, and I've explained the reasons why I think they can be different. You should also be okay with regards to Brevis not being rushed in. If you feel that youngsters shouldn't be rushed in and thrown in at the deep end, I can understand that point of view. Right? So I don't think anybody's right or wrong here. I think Lorenzo has a good point. I think Kelly has a good point. I think you guys have a good point in the comment section as well. The rest of you guys as well. So I don't think one person's right and one person's wrong because we don't know what will come off and what won't. I hear you, Khalid, and I tend to agree. But Stubbs, in my opinion, is also generational talent. You can absolutely win your game from nowhere. That's why I'm saying if Stubbs is going to be your number six, then I think it's fine to take a risk on a generational talent at 6 and at 3. Because I think those are the two positions where you can take a risk. I mean, Avi de Villiers, that didn't come off in every single game that he played, but when he did, he won us games. So I think that is very important. But in order to get the best out of your number 3 and get the best out of your number 6, you need to have solidity in between. So 4 and 5 needs to be solid, and 1 and 2 needs to be solid. That's why I think in T20 cricket, Pavuma needs to go. And we need to bring someone like Faf or a more experienced opener that can really solidify that innings with Quinny. Someone that can really get the best out of Quinton de Kock, allow him to be more free-flowing, and can turn the game around his head. But also, Faf has something that a lot of people might not have that comes into that opening spot. The ability to be able to assess the situation and say, you know what, I'm going to take the pressure here. He did that last night with that 100 that he scored in T20 cricket. He took the pressure off Riza Hendricks that was struggling on the other end. And he actually helped Riza get to a decent score. Yes, Riza got himself out because he needed to go and start hitting, and then he lost his wicket trying to go for it. And he was struggling throughout the game. But Faf helped him get to that mark. So I do think that if you have a solid opening pair, you can take a risk with the number 3. If you have a strong middle order with 4 and 5, then you can take a risk with the number 6. And that's why I think that Stubbs and Brevis can be 2 young guns that come into this attack, because I feel that they will be the future of South African cricket. So why not start him now when there's experienced players around him, in my opinion, T20 cricket. I mean, ODI cricket is different for me. I think that in ODI cricket, because the ODI domestic level isn't as strong, I think that we need to you need to show consistency, because in ODI cricket, you need to score consistently to win games. You need your players to be able to show that they can play over a long period of time, and they can convert their 50s into 100s on more regularly. Similarly, like in Test cricket. Okay. Kelly Robbins this weekend, Malan, Quinton de Kock, Pavuma, Rassi van der Dussen, Klaasen, Miller, Jansen, Maharaj, Rabada, Nokia, and Giri. At the moment, Stubbs looks more ready for international than Brevis. That's a good point. And Markram as well. He wants in the team. You missed out Markram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So who does Markram replace is the question. I mean, for me personally, I think Markram is a way better 50 over player at the moment than Malan. But in ODI cricket, he hasn't necessarily shown the consistency. But if you check at them in domestic, if you take Yanaman, put him in domestic cricket, and you take Markram, you put him in domestic 50 over cricket, Markram is ahead of Yanaman, in my opinion. Could Rurison and Deploy be pushing for T20 squads? Deploy is now a citizen, like he's now playing for England, or he's registered to be able to play for England, so he can't play for South Africa. Rurison possibly could, um, but I feel that we do need to see a little bit more consistency from Rurison as well. He does show talent, but he does bat a bit slow at the moment, and I think he needs to find that way to push that rate up. He does, but he's still settling in the right spot. He was 5'6", but the Warriors put him at 4, where he looked very comfortable. That's a good point that Kelly's making as well. The Warriors have moved subs around a lot in list A cricket. So he needs to find a place that he wants to play. Like, for example, Yanaman too, in Test cricket. Yanaman was an opener for the Cobras, did exceptionally well, one player of the season, etc. But then they moved him to 4 at Boland, where he thinks he has a better chance of probably making the Test team at 4. So yeah, he needs to sort himself out there so that he can get an opportunity to play Test cricket. I think Yanaman's a guy that will maybe make the Test team later in his career once he's settled and finds more consistency at 4 now, because he has swapped and it's kind of, you have to reset now. You can't judge him on his stats as an opener when he switches his position and is batting at 4. Number 4 is a very different responsibility. Malan needs to at least have at least one game surely. Herman equals baby Alga and Brevis baby AB. I don't think that Jordan Herman should be compared to Dean Alga. I'm sorry. I think Jordan Herman has way more talent than Dean Alga, in my opinion. You can see how he's been able to switch his games through the formats, playing attacking brand. I think Jordan, since he started, he was very blocky, very safe, like Alga. And now he's developed his game to a different level. So I think he's really made his game a lot better. He's transformed his game. That's the word. I had a nice chat with him after the Sunrisers game against Paul. And we had a long chat together, me and him. We spoke to about 15 minutes, myself and him, after the game. And I like his mentality and the way he's thinking. He's really transformed his game and found a way to really take his game to another level. So I'm happy to what I'm seeing with Herman, but I also think we mustn't rush him. He needs another season. This has been his breakthrough season now. Rurison was leading T20 run scorer in the CSA T20. Yes, I remember that he was. Better early bet than Brevis, to be honest, although strike rate not the best. Yeah, they played in. You see that T20 tournament, the CSA T20 tournament. I don't really want to judge it fully because of the conditions they played in. Batters like Rulison would perform well in a tournament like that, playing in the conditions that they did. It wasn't the easiest wickets to bat on. It needed someone to anchor innings and win a game for you from the top of the order. So whereas this wickets, I mean, the World Cup wickets, as you saw in Australia, they were a lot more sporty. There was a lot of opportunities to score bigger runs, bigger boundaries, sorry. And then at the UAE one, the boundaries were a lot smaller in certain grounds, so it gave you an opportunity to play a different brand of cricket. But I do think that when it comes to a tournament like that, you played in one set of conditions. So Rulison did well, yes, but he was playing in the same conditions and throughout the tournament. It's not like he went on different grounds, and I would like to see him do that on different grounds. At the moment, he has been struggling a little bit in the SA20. He had one great score when the team was struggling on a difficult wicket as well, where he anchored the innings for the My Cape Town team, and they actually ended up losing the game. And I want to see that when he plays all around the grounds, in different grounds now in the SA20 as well. I don't think the Magala makes playing 11 with current form. His average is regressing every game, so don't read too much into it. He was to improve his game against. Malan, sorry. Malan. Yeah, he needs to improve his game against spin. Like I always said, he's found a way to survive against spin and not dominate against spin. Did Keshav Maharaj's experiment in white ball cricket run its course? I personally do think here, I agree with you. I think Bjorn Fortuin, particularly Bjorn Fortuin, uh, in my opinion, I think Bjorn's ahead of Linda. Even his batting has been exceptional in pressure situations too. He's won games for the Lions with the bat in 4-day cricket, T20 cricket, and in ODI cricket. It's ridiculous. And even for the Rocks and the Royals. And he opens the bowling and he always strikes. I mean, he's a top wicket taker now, currently in the SA20 at the moment, I think. Bjorn Fortuin is a champion, guys. Mentality-wise, mentality monster that guy is. Pressure doesn't phase that guy at all. He's not scared of the occasion. He's not scared of anything. He takes the new ball with pleasure, and he seems to strike and always find a way. I do think they are ahead of Keshav in white ball cricket 100%. I do really think so. I won't be playing Malan as this year is ODI World Cup in India and he's struggling against spin. Thoughts on Bartman? I didn't think about that, Sadiq, to be honest with you. Thoughts on Bartman for Proteas? What is his best format? Big fan. Bartman's a very good bowler. I think it's a close one between ODI and T20 cricket. I think he's good in both formats in white ball cricket. Jordan hitting a giddy for 6 over the point round. It was amazing. I'd love to see Brevis in the test team one day. Create our own David Warner. One day, yes, one day. He needs to first play 4-day cricket. That is a must. Proper talent that. Linda, says Bobik. Khalid and Kelly, do you guys think Jordan has a better cricket brain? I like how you putting mine and Kelly. It's Dave in the same sentence, but I think it's because it's related to the Stubbs and Brevis situation. Do you think that Jordan has a better cricket brain than Brevis and Stubbs? I think so. Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't say. It depends how you think of a cricket brain. I think they're different players. You're comparing 3 different players here. Jordan's an opening batter, most likely. When it comes to T20 cricket and ODI cricket, I think he opens. For me personally, I think that is his strongest place to play. But in Test cricket, I think he's more of a number 3 or number 4. In my opinion, it doesn't mean I'm right. Whereas Brevis, I feel, is a number 3 in ODI and T20 cricket, and I think Stubbs is a 6, in my opinion. But like Kelly said, he could possibly be 4 in ODI. I would still keep him at 6. I think he's strong to have at 6. I think he should replace David Miller down the line. I think so. He just gives out the type of vibe. Maybe they're wrong to say that. I think they think about the game very differently. So I wouldn't say that one has the better cricket brain than the other. I just think they think of the game very differently. Herman looks class. Herman is class. He is class. They also played that tournament without any real SA20 players due to the World Cup and a couple of injuries. Yeah, that's also true. Marco Janssen. Yes, congratulations, Marco, for winning Emerging Cricketer of the Year for the ICC. Brilliant, bro. Well done. I've also sent him a message to say congratulations. What a legend and what a player. I think Magala is better than Bartman. Oti is quite injury prone. Matty Boast. Yeah, I would like to see what's happening with him. I actually saw him practicing in the nets at the Paul Royals training. Matty Boast. Bartman looks like he should be good, similar in Fernandez style, seeming it. I don't think so. I think that he's much more skiddier of a bowler than Philander was. Do you think Malan should be in playing 11? Then ODI World Cup is in India and isn't far away. Better players who play spin well. I think that in the opening pair between, if you're going to pick Temba as an opener, Temba obviously plays ahead of Janaman. And then Rassi at 3. And then at 4, Markram. 5, Klaassen. 6, David Miller. That's my top 6. And then 7, I would play Marco Janssen. 8, Parnell. 9, KG. 10, Anrich or Lungi, dependable. And then 11, Shamsi. In ODI cricket, though, not Shamsi. Perhaps then Keshav or Bjorn Fortuin. I would like to see Bjorn Fortuin in the team, to be honest. I want him to be the ODI spinner for the World Cup. That's a player right there, Matty Boast. Proteas need looking to Donovan Ferreira. This player know how to play against the pressure. Yes. Donovan Ferreira is a very good player. I wasn't very happy with him last night, though. I think that he should have not just gone on to hit the ball and win the game. He should have just rotated the strike. Creed Bjorn ahead in T20s. Reckon Linda should play back in the Proteas in ODIs. Could see that too. Linda could play in the ODIs because he's already played ODI cricket. I do, though, I ever think that Bjorn Fortuin... Guys, I would pick Bjorn Fortuin purely on his mentality alone. You can't have such a winning mentality and not be in the South African side. It just makes no sense. Interesting. Reiterate. What we see guys like iterating. We see guys like Ferreira and interesting. Sorry, I'm looking. I'm so shit dumb. It's been a long stream. Interesting that the bat. Interesting to see guys like Ferreira and Stubbs that bat, bowl, and keep all three. Yeah, that's brilliant. Mara selected all three formats. I think he must just be Test cricket. Who would be the mental performance coach? No idea. Herman also keeps. So does his brother. Yeah, Herman keeps as well. Rabada needs some rest, but I understand the pressure of avoiding playing qualifiers. Yeah, I mean, Ngidi is a very good bowler as well, so I wouldn't really be upset with regards to that. Whether they pick Ngidi, Parnell, or Ngidi, Rabada, and they switch it around. I mean, I'm not really worried about that. I think all three, four bowlers of us, our whole bowling attack is world class, so they're interchangeable. But I do think that Anrik Nokia is kind of unstoppable at the moment. He should be in every team sheet. They need to decide on KG, Lungi, and Parnell, those three. Because at the moment, with regards to KG's form in white ball cricket, it hasn't necessarily been very consistent. And I know that might be very controversial maybe to some people, but KG hasn't really impressed me with regards to ODI cricket over the last couple of years. He hasn't been at his best, I feel, in that format. So I do think that Lungi, him, and Parnell could be interchangeable in a way. Because of Marco Janssen, I back Marco Janssen 100% as an all-rounder. I've always told you guys he can bat. I said it from the moment I saw him at the Durban Super Giant. At the Durban, what were they called before? The Durban. I can't remember what the Durban team in the MSL was called. It was a Durban Super Giants. I think it was that. I can't remember what they were called. But when he was playing for that Durban team, and I've been watching him obviously in Kamajolo week as well. He hit massive sixes and scored big runs. Khalid, yes, Bjorn Fortuin, absolutely class, but Linda is the type of player we need right now. He's better than Bjorn, and he's on par with Bjorn with the ball. So I'd go with Geoff as he offers. Yeah, you could, yes, but Bjorn has batted better than GF in pressure situations, like in a final, for example. He's scoring the winning runs to help the Lions win. But Geoff Leander is way more consistent with the bat than Bjorn at the moment within domestic cricket. He does it more often in games. So we need to decide whether we want. I do think Bjorn is a better bowler at the moment, though. I think he bowls way better in the power play, and the stats prove that. But I do think that they are similar to an extent. But I do think George is more consistent with the bat, where Bjorn comes off in major pressure situations with the bat when you really need him to score runs. So you need to decide what you want to go with more. George Linde is better than Keshav Maharaj at the moment. In white ball cricket, I feel that is true. Good to see you call him here and not George. Yeah. Durban Heat. That was the name. Durban Heat. Shot, bro. Can't remember, bro. It's a long time ago. Anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. There's a lot of people watching at the moment. Please smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, please don't forget to download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also help us promote and grow South African cricket, and also help this company grow, this channel grow, etc. by becoming a patron today. It keeps the lights on. It will help me go in travel, guys, to cover games around the country. So please get involved with the Patron account. It's what keeps this channel alive and keeps this business alive. Also smash the like button, comment, and share. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all regular updates. Thank you for everybody that's been in the comment section. Thank you everybody for supporting. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you very soon. Peace out.